Morning everyone, and welcome to this meeting of the Lincolnshire Fire and Rescue Fire Pension Scheme Board. This is the first item of business is the election of chair. Do we have any proposals?
Yeah, I can confirm that I'm happy to continue in the role of the chair for the further year if that's acceptable to the rest of the board.
And I can confirm that I'm happy to propose.
I'm happy to second that.
If we could indicate those in favour that Will Jakiewicz remains chair for the next year. And yourself, Councillor McGonigal, are you in favour?
Yes, I am in favour.
No problem. Thank you very much. That's unanimous.
Thanks, Tom. As a brief introduction, I'd like to welcome Councillor McGonigal, who's the new employer representative as the executive portfolio holder with responsibility for fire and rescue. So thanks for coming this morning, Councillor McGonigal.
Thank you very much.
And then if we go to the next item of business on the agenda, any apologies?
None received.
Okay. And next item, declarations of interests. Is there anyone who'd like to declare any interest? No. Okay, if we continue to next agenda item, minutes of the previous meeting held on the 14th of March. I think everybody's had sight of the minutes. There are no actions arising from these minutes, so if everybody's had the opportunity to read them and is willing to accept these as a true record of the meeting on the 14th of March, if we could have a proposer and a seconder for this, please. And a second. Yeah. And then if we can all vote that these are an accurate record of the meeting, please. Yep. That's carried then.
Yep.
Thank you. Do we have West Yorkshire Pension Board, Pension Management in attendance yet?
Not currently, Chair. We may take this item later if they do join.
Okay, I'm happy to do that. So if we proceed to the next agenda item. This is an update on current issues from Tony Kavanagh.
Thank you, Chair, and a welcome from myself to Councillor McGonigal as well. Obviously, not normally in attendance, normally Liz Hipworth is here. Unfortunately, she can't be here today. But what I'm going to do is just give a sort of update on the current issues in relation to matters pertaining to the Fire Pension Board. So if I start with the internal dispute resolution procedure. So we've had the updated guidance on the ADRPs in March 2025, and so we've incorporated that into the internal dispute resolution procedure policy. And we've, since the last board, we've had 6 IDRPs. 5 are from deferred pension scheme members, but all relating to the ongoing delay on the provision of their annual benefit statements. So we're in the process of responding to those. In terms of breaches, so since the last pension board, there has been 1 breach. The annual benefit statement, remedial service statements, statutory deadline, which was the 31st of March. This was subject to a previous breach in August and was reported to the pension board in October 24. Probably most people will be aware it's relating to the West Yorkshire Pension Fund's delays with their system, Civica, but hopefully that will be resolved relatively soon. What that has meant is resulted in 216 active members, 335 deferred members and 112 pension members who are in scope for remedy not receiving their statements within the deadline. So West Yorkshire have advised they expect to issue their active remedial service statements along with the benefit statements to members by the end of this month, 30th of June. And deferred and pension members will have their statements issued as soon as possible after this date. Members have been written to directly by the West Yorkshire Pension Fund in relation to that. So, in terms of Sergeant MacLeod and age discrimination remedy, 473 individuals are in scope of Sergeant, and we have 186 who are in scope of the Matthews second options exercise. People will probably be aware that at retirement individuals receive two sets of figures, one for legacy scheme benefits and another for reform scheme benefits, and then they have a choice of which one obviously is best for them. The Matthew election has to be made before West Yorkshire can calculate and provide retirement benefits. So since the introduction of the legislation in October 23, 19 retirements have been completed. 11 of these have chosen legacy and 4 have chosen reformed. And 4 members have decided not to take their benefits. So we currently have 8 retirements ongoing. So in terms of the Matthews second options exercise, I'm conscious I don't want to relay a lot of what's been said in the past, probably coming to these meetings, but I'll run through. 716 individuals are clearly in scope of the exercise, and we've only had 387 indicated that they wish to receive costs of buyback, and 26 individuals have indicated they do not wish to receive the costs. So we're still waiting on 303 individuals to respond. As colleagues will know, despite we've done lots of reminders, we've been working with the Fire Brigades Union as well to try and identify. In terms of the stats, 121 individuals have received their figures to date, with 95 having returned paperwork. West Yorkshire have confirmed that they are now able to accept process cases, both from the new pension members and those with pension currently in payment. So there's currently an approximate 3-month turnaround from receipt of paperwork to pension being put into payment. However, we understand that West Yorkshire is expanding to speed this process up. Unfortunately, although the consultation of a number of amendments to the rules governing the exercise closed in February, we are still waiting feedback on any changes for special deferred members and deceased members. But it's been confirmed that individuals have a further 12 months to receive costs to buy back pension. So as such, we've informed all members that we are working to a 31st of March 2026, and we'll update them as soon as we know. So in terms of other areas, so pensions dashboards, West Yorkshire will be connecting with Money Helper Pensions Board dashboard, and it's expected that will go live by the end of October 25. Pensions automatic enrolment, that has obviously taken place, and we've been working with colleagues in terms of implementing that. And I think in terms of other major updates of note, I think there's sufficient there to be going on with. I think obviously West Yorkshire will provide the performance data. Thank you.
Thanks, Tony. Tom, is there any update on whether West Yorkshire are available to give us a performance update? Okay, so we'll return to that agenda point then. So this is performance data from West Yorkshire Pension Fund.
Hi. Yeah, you've got the client report for May in the pack. So that's so part 1, it's showing the key performance indicators, which you know, most of them are at 100%, apart from there's life certificates there where one case was done out of time, and also the deferred benefits set up on leaving. And we've got an explanation underneath, which and obviously in previous board meetings, you know, I have mentioned that kind of deferred benefits set upon leaving are the one area that gets sidelined in times of high volume, because the delays don't have no impact on the members' entitlement. So these cases are not detrimentally impacted by any kind of delay. So that's the one area that we can leave. So that's why those are not meeting at the moment. After that, you've just got your the different graphs about work and different areas, what's impending. Then you've got part 3 is just showing your web registration numbers, so how many have signed up to be able to view their pension record on through the West Yorkshire Pension Fund portal, and you just have kind of gradual increases. Generally, it generally goes up a little bit each month. Then after that, we're breaking down what your membership numbers are looking like. And now, if anybody does look at these at all for anything, you will start to find that the numbers will start to move into different boxes once we start the rollback of your pension record, of your members' pension records. So potentially you could have people that were showing as membership in the 2015 scheme that will become a deferred in the 2006 or something. So those numbers will obviously we'll still have the same totals. They'll just be in different boxes. Then again, just a whole host of graphs, and then you're at the kind of administration update. So in this one, we gave some more information following the client meeting about the issues that we were getting with the GAD contribution adjustment data that had been sent to us. So we asked FRAs if they would double check the data, spot check the data that they'd submitted, and confirm to us that you're happy with the data that you have submitted and that West Yorkshire are okay to use that data. Basically, what we found was when we ran our calculation using the data that had been submitted, to get the amount of the contribution adjustment that the member needed to pay to be a member of their 1992 legacy scheme, the figures from our records didn't then agree with what FRAs were quoting to members on the mandate at retirement. That's why we had to kind of raise it and bring it up as a query. Then there's a section there on Matthews and just pieces of information that we feel we needed to kind of pass on to our fire clients in terms of the position with Matthews. Item there on rollback. West Yorkshire Pension Fund have started to roll back the member records ready for the ABS RSS for active members. We've done 17 out of our 24 fire clients, but the ones we haven't done is because we don't have full and accurate data from those fire authorities at the moment. So we'll be picking those up as we move, as that data comes in. So then we'll just give more an update on kind of where we were in kind of dealing with the template. And we think that we've just asked for the final changes to the ABS RSS template to be made, and hopefully they'll get picked up and done on Monday. So potentially early next week we should have that signed off, and hopefully then in a position to start production. I am actually still waiting for some further data from Lincolnshire, so Lincolnshire records have not been rolled back at the moment, so they will not be going out in the first batch. They will get picked up once the records are ready. Then we've just got basic, yeah.
Sorry, Helen, yeah, just so we can pick up on that. Could you resend the request through in regards to that data? I'm just conscious of the fact that it may have gone, somebody's been off for a while, that's all.
Yeah.
Just
no,
so we-
it's gone to it went to your Sergeant Remedy mailbox,
Oh,
and
okay.
so there were two different spreadsheets because I picked up kind of different, and I've just had one completed back this morning. So I'm assuming that they are currently working on the second one, and that'll be coming through shortly.
Cheers. Thanks, Helen. Thanks.
And then there's just a small piece on dashboards there, and I think we've sent something out through Hot Topics as well. So that's asking for fire and rescue authorities to confirm that they want West Yorkshire Pension Fund to provide the service for their authority. So if you haven't done that, that will still need to be done, and then you will start to be getting some codes through from TPR, and if you get those, they do need sending on to us as well. And I think that was in, as I say, I think that was in the Hot Topics as well as on here. So then after that, there's just the standard information about what we audit, the disclosure, time limits, and whether there's been any breaches to that, the calendar of events, and then we just finish off at 12 where we're taking the key items out of the LGA bulletins and kind of just highlighting them again. So this part is really duplication of the information out of the bulletins. But what you will find in this part is that if there was any actions in the bulletins that were administrator related, we'll have added our response here. So you know, if it just said something about administrators need to be aware of, then we will put West Yorkshire Pension Fund are aware. If we had an actual action, we'll confirm whether we've done that action or not. So obviously the actions on the FRAs from that bulletin are highlighted in red, and we are the scheme manager, and there were no actions on administrators there, so there's nothing further added. So that's so if anybody's got any questions on any of that.
Yeah, thanks for the update, Helen. I do have a couple of questions. You'll have to bear with me because I'm going to go back through the report. So back to the performance data. On the failure to meet the target for deferred benefits, last time you discussed this was due to high workloads, and you gave the information that work is often given to newer members of staff, and you had recruited and employed some new members of staff, but that the work still had to be checked by more senior members of staff, and that's where the delay occurred. I wondered if there's any update on the progress of this, these newer members of staff, and whether they're able to take on that work in a more productive way at all.
They are, but unfortunately, we're now at a slightly different stage where we can't process the majority of the deferred benefits till the records have been rolled back. Because if we do them before that, then they're in the wrong position. They've got the data's not right, and they're not being sent their options between the legacy and the reformed benefits. So now they're on hold for rollback being completed.
Yeah, that's completely understandable, actually. But like you say, hopefully that doesn't have too much impact with these being deferred benefits. There should be no significant impact to the members.
No, because it's just all to do with the benefits at leaving, which then get pensions increase each year. So even if we 2 or 3 pensions increases in the future when we run them, they will just, once those benefits are on that deferred status, that pensions increase will automatically get added, and then it'll be at the value at April 25 or April 26 or whenever they're done. So yeah, there's no detriment to the amount that the member gets. The hold up doesn't affect anything.
Okay, thank you. Thanks for the update on the progress with the ABS and RSS statements. I think in the report there's the suggestion that you're confident to meet the 30th of June. I don't think you specifically said that in your verbal update. Is that still the case following this report?
I am confident that the records that we have rolled back we'll be able to have in ABS by the 30th of June, because they're in the position ready to go. So they are just waiting the kind of finalisation of the template and what needs to be done with that. And as I say, we've pretty much signed that off now. If the records, if we don't have the accurate data and I'm not able to roll the records back, then I don't know if they will meet the 30th of June, because that will just all be a timing issue.
So to clarify, this is the data you're waiting from Lincolnshire for?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. As I say, I have got one out of the two that I were waiting for, so I will process that this week, kind of in readiness for the next one to come, and then hopefully we will be in a position, hopefully we will be in a position to produce a large majority of your active member statements by the 30th of June. But at this point, I can't really say yes with any with confidence, because I haven't got the records in the right position.
Okay, so thanks. You updated us that the contact had been made and you had received some of the data which suggested it being acted on. Yeah. Well, I think we just need to take the opportunity to emphasise to the scheme manager the importance of the return of the rest of that data. In the administration update again, the gross contribution adjustment data. So there was an, bear with me a second. This request to spot check the data, the bulk data that have been submitted to West Yorkshire, has this taken place, do you know, Helen?
I am not aware that Lincolnshire have come back to me with something that says, we're comfortable with the data we've supplied and are happy for you, West Yorkshire Pension Fund, to use it. So no, I don't think so.
So at this point, could we capture an action for Lincolnshire to confirm that the bulk data already submitted to West Yorkshire Pension Fund has been spot checked? Okay. Next point, there's a mention of an updated version of the GAD calculator to version 2.7.0. And an action that scheme managers need to ensure that the correct version of the calculator is in use. Can we, is there any confirmation that that is in use, or can we record another action to confirm that the correct version of the calculator is in use within Lincolnshire? That being 2.7.0. Back to the administration update. The pensions dashboard. Is it possible to confirm whether any progress has been made? So you've requested that if any pension dashboard connection codes have been received, to forward them to you to return to the bravura. Helen, do you know if any progress has been made with that at all?
I don't know if we've had anything from yourselves, no.
So if we could record a further action then to confirm if Lincolnshire has received the pension dashboard connection codes, and if so, to forward these to West Yorkshire Pension Fund. And then just something to follow up in section 12, the regulation fire scheme update. Bear with me a second, I'll just find the right section in the document. So there's an action there for scheme managers in terms of the age discrimination remedy updates to identify if they have any contingent decision opt-out cases. Do we know if any progress has been made with this at all? Helen, do you have any comment on that at all? I don't fully understand the issue, but the action is there. So this is around...
yeah, this is not something that West Yorkshire Pension Fund would know.
No, so this is for Lincolnshire to resolve.
Yeah, yeah.
So
it's those members who opted out of, whose legacy scheme was 92 and then opted out. And so, and potentially have a gap in their pensionable service for within the remedy period. So I think, yeah, LGA are wanting details because this is part of the issue where the Pension and Judicial Officers Act says that in situations where the member has opted out and is allowed and is allowed a contingent decision to rejoin the scheme, if their original scheme is closed, but another scheme that they are eligible to join is available, then that is the scheme that would join for the contingent decision period. So for fire, the 92 scheme's closed and has been closed since 2006, and members could join the 2006 if they elected to come back in. And so there was an expectation that members who opted out of the 92 scheme would be able to have 92 service for that remedy period. And so there's a legal challenge, and there is a lot of ongoing work with Home Office and lawyers and everything about the situation. So I think the Home Office, LGA are wanting some numbers and information on how many are affected.
So, yeah, thanks for that, Helen. It's clearly quite complex, but if we could possibly record an action. So this relates to Section 12 of the West Yorkshire May report. This is the age discrimination remedy updates for Lincolnshire to identify that if this is an issue and we need to make this return. Yeah, thanks, Dave.
Yeah, if I could just come in. So, excuse my ignorance by and large to some of these actions. Unfortunately, they're not part of my day-to-day. But in terms of the updates, it did say that Home Office is reviewing legislation around contingent decisions and who can reinstate previously opted-out service. As a result, guidance on contingent decisions has been removed by the LGA, which is impacting on the processing of some cases where this will be a factor. We are currently waiting confirmation of when this will be available. So it appears to be information is missing, well, isn't available to act on, but I'll pick it up.
Yeah, thanks. So if we could capture that in an action to identify the extent of the issue for Lincolnshire and whether any kind of return is necessary.
Yeah, can I just say, I don't think there's information missing for this action. What there is there's information missing to be able to process these cases and move the cases forward, but actually identifying who the affected individuals might be. I don't think there's data, and I think that's what LGA are wanting to know. They're wanting to know how many of these affected individuals you've got. Once you know that, you can't do anything with them, but I think they're just wanting the numbers.
So the action as given in the report in red there stands. The scheme managers should notify LGA should they have any contingent decision opt-out cases. Yeah. Right, brilliant. Okay, that's the end of my questions. Does anybody else have any questions for Helen on the report from West Yorkshire? No. Thanks very much then, Helen. If you're willing to stick with us for the remainder of the meeting, we'll get back to the agenda. So the next item on the agenda is the Fire Pension Board plan. So looking at the plan, there are 4 current lines from 2117 to 3 current lines from 2117 to 2119. The first one, TPR Public Service Governance and Administration Survey, with a due date January 25. Is that still relevant? So this is the plan, the forward plan. on section 7 of the pack. Yeah.
I haven't got an answer on that. I'll have to follow that up in terms of where we are with the survey.
Okay. I think the report from Liz last time was that everything was on target. So if we treat that to be the case for the remaining lines as well, the pensions, auto-enrolment, the end-of-year return to the Home Office for the top-up grant.
Yeah, I did pick up the auto-enrolment is done. But yeah, no, I'll leave those with me and I'll pick those up. Apologies, Chair.
No problem. Thanks very much for that. Next item for consideration is the training for board members. So this is relevant in particular with Councillor McGonigal joining the board. Who may not be aware, there is training available to assist in carrying out your duties as a board member. I'll contact you outside this meeting to make arrangements for that. Paul, have you made any progress on your training?
Yep. The online training has been completed and I'm due to attend a course in September in London.
Okay. Thanks for that. I think with that training completed, that's the bulk of the outstanding training to be done. So we'll have the records updated to reflect that duly in due course. Next item is the risk register. So I don't intend to go through this in any great detail, but I think it's worth noting there are no red residual risks. And I think it's not possible really to comment on any changes without Liz here for the finer details she can offer. So given that there are no high residual risks, I'm happy to move on from this report as it stands. Unless anybody has any questions or would like to highlight anything in the risk register. No. Okay, right, that's the Fire Pension Board Plan completed. So, item 8, the Fire Pension Scheme Bulletins to receive a report from Tony Kavanagh.
Thank you, Chair. So in terms of fire pension schemes bulletins, there is two. There is the FPS Bulletin 91, which was published in March, which relates to contribution rates and bandings remaining unchanged in 25-26. And then there is the FPS Bulletin 92, April 25. So basically this is something we just discussed, which is around the Home Office are reviewing the legislation around contingent decisions and who can be reinstate previously opted out service into the Fire Pension Scheme 1992. And as previously stated, guidance on the contingent decisions has been removed, which is impacting on some cases, and we're currently waiting confirmation when this is available. But those are the latest two updates.
Thank you for that update. So, next item on the agenda is the Fire Pension Officers Group, also an update from Tony.
Thank you, Chair. Yep, so just I'll try and keep this brief, but North East Region Fire Pensions Officers Group took place on the 4th of June. The LGA confirmed that discussions are continuing with the Home Office regarding gaps in the legislation on contingent issues. There have been no further updates on the two recent consultation exercises regarding the extension to the Matthews second options exercise being confirmed in legislation, and changes to member contributions that are anticipated within the 12-week lead time to implementation. I think concerns been raised about difficulties in adjusting to potential contribution bans, etc. And it will be difficult because it will require input from payroll software to achieve those, but the LGA are monitoring the situation. Other fire rescue authorities raise challenges they are experiencing in managing retirements where individuals are in both scope of Sergeant and Matthews and have the option to elect a contingent decision to plug any gaps. There are differences in the rules, as people are probably gathering, and options available depending on where these events happen that are adding additional complexity. Those present were also conscious that individuals would continue to receive correspondence showing varying amounts of pension and differing amounts either to be refunded or due to the scheme as each stage of the process is worked through. And this is likely to cause additional concern and confusion. So there was an issue really that members are likely to require additional support understanding their options. I think generally it just reflects the challenges that authorities and fire authorities have got in terms of managing the different issues and options.
Thanks for that update, Tony. Does anybody have any questions on either of Tony's updates? No? Thank you. Then we can move on to item 10 on the agenda, an update from the Scheme Advisory Board. Helen, are you able to give us this update?
Yeah, so the last Scheme Advisory Board was on the 19th of March. There wasn't a huge amount to update from it, really. The Home Office gave a verbal update on where they were, and that covered basically the member contribution consultation and Matthew's consultation and where they were with Matthew's. There was then an update from GAD to Scheme Advisory Board members about the progress of the 2024 valuation, and again where they were with Matthews and Sargent in terms of what support GAD are giving to the sector for that. So there's been some guidance outstanding from them. So where they were working on and everything. So that was that. There was just a general update from LGA, which is kind of what they do at every board meeting about where they are, what they've been working on, what they've got in the pipeline. So they covered kind of the staffing at LGA. So Tara had been, which I think was made public elsewhere. She was promoted to the senior pensions advisor to continue to cover for Claire Johnson's maternity leave. Claire Alcock has become head of pensions at LGA, taking over from Joe Donnelly, who moved to London Pension Fund. So obviously, some of you may be aware of Claire Alcock. She did work for LGA for fire for a number of years, then moved across to NPCC to work on the police scheme, and has actually continued to provide support for the fire sector whilst Claire Johnson's been on maternity leave. So she started on the 19th of May, and they've had a number of other recruitments. So they've recruited clerical, I don't know the job title because it's not actually worded here, but an advisor who's providing more admin support. So booking the meetings, taking the minutes, providing the agendas, all this type of papers for meetings, that type of thing. And then they've also just very recently appointed Jill Swift, and she's going to be a pensions advisor, and she's currently works within fire pensions at Cheshire Fire. So she's going to be starting in a couple of weeks. So hopefully they are going to get more resourced and be able to kind of do more of the things that are on their agenda to do. They've basically covered what they've done and what they're planning in terms of Sargent, ICRSS rollout under Sargent, Matthews, lots of different things on Matthews, bit more information on training, and confirmed that they are working on updating and revamping the FPS member website for fire. And so that work is ongoing with a complete redesign of the site. And they're working with Clay 10, who were the ones that produced the ABS RSS for the police and fire schemes. and they're also working with a separate company for accessibility issues, to make sure that the site complies with something called the Public Sector Bodies Website and Mobile Applications Number 2 Accessibility Regulations 2018. So they kind of gave an update on that. And then they've just given an update. Basically, you should have received a questionnaire about kind of scheme manager discretions and the fact that there's 44 current individual scheme managers making individual decisions for their organisation. And I think they sent out a questionnaire with potentially 3 options about potential changes to that. Because I'm not a fire authority, I haven't seen it, but I am aware of. I'm just aware of the existence of it. So that was their update, and then after that, nothing really that is of note to yourselves. There was governance update. So they basically, the scheme advisory board were just talking about their own governance and their terms of reference. They discussed the budget for 25-26, and then after that they had some presentations. So somebody came in from Money Helper to do a dashboard on the to do a presentation on the pensions dashboard, and then they had a couple of the bigger pensions administrators in to give an update on where they are with age discrimination remedy and Matthews and other issues. And they also had the software suppliers in to give a kind of update on where they are with everything kind of fire pensions. So that's what went on at the last scheme advisory board.
Thanks very much for your update, Helen. Very comprehensive. Does anybody have any questions on that update? No. Okay, so that brings us to the end of the main agenda items. The only point now to confirm the date of the next meeting, which is to be the 11th of September 2025. And that concludes the meeting. Thanks to everyone who's joined us today online, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. See you next time.